Avatar: The Last Airbender. This episode is fantastic. This episode is about Zuko, who... This is a cool detail I didn't even know about this show until recently, but we'll talk about it in a second. But basically in this episode, Zuko cannot firebend. He's trying to teach Aang, but he can't. His firebend is weak. He can't luster the fire out. So Toph gives him the idea to go to the ancient firebenders, and the ancient firebenders are dragons who are all extinct. So they go to their ancient ruins of this ancient tribe, basically, to see if they can find anything, even though they're extinct as well, for what they know at least. And they go there, and basically they get trapped. They find them, this ancient tribe, and they say, hey, look, you guys, they think they're thieves at first, but then they realize they may not be, so they have them meet the ancient fire masters, which are two dragons. And they actually work, and Zuko and Aang work together to do this dance, and that shows them that they are worthy, and the dragons share their firebending with them, and basically teach them the ways of firebending. It's a beautiful episode for a couple reasons. First of all, it shows how well Zuko and Aang work as friends and as a duo, just comedically too, and that's really good to see. Also, just showing us the side of Zuko that he was bending through his rage, and now he no longer has that rage. And one cool detail I saw someone point out that I've never really realized in my many rewatches of the show is that Zuko was bending with his rage, and him bending with his rage was why in this episode he couldn't bend, obviously, but when he would bend earlier in the show, it'd be he's like a punch kind of sound. Meanwhile, later in the show, he just firebends and it doesn't sound like that. There's less grunting, and that's something that the voice actor Dante Bosco was doing a lot less while performing this character. And that's something really, really cool that adds a lot to his character and shows a lot of growth later in the show as well, in just little details. And little details like that is what really makes Avatar. This world is just perfect. And yeah, it's just a really great episode with all that, and adds a lot to these characters. And then also learning that Iroh lied about murdering all the dragons to keep them hidden, which is kind of a great moment because, you know, Zuko talks about his uncle and his past earlier in the episode. You know, he had a shady past. So you kind of believe that Iroh could have killed these dragons, but you also kind of don't, because he's Iroh, but at the same time, we know that Iroh did some shady things. He did technically lead to the murder and harm of other people because of his ways. And that's something that doesn't really get touched upon a lot, but it's very heavily implied, right? So, you know, you never really know if he was going to be the one to actually kill these dragons, but he actually learned from these dragons himself. And yeah, I think that was all really beautiful things to learn about Iroh that added a lot to his character. And just all this episode's just fantastic. It is one of the best episodes of this show overall. I only think the only problem with it, I think, is it feels a little bit rushed. And what I mean by that is, I think at this point, Zuko and Aang, like, literally became on the same side like last episode. I don't know, like, it felt like either there needed to be a montage in this episode of Zuko and Aang training for a while, showing that they were doing this for a while before this episode even started, or there needed to be like another episode in here. We have like episodes where Sokka and Zuko bond and things like that. Maybe those episodes should have come first and then this episode, but I get why it didn't. It just felt like, alright, this is a pretty rushed character arc here towards the end, which was not something I would never say about Zuko's character arc, but it did feel like that in this episode at least. Still a great episode though. This is one of the top tier episodes. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.